Senator Dianne Feinstein was a longtime member of the Intelligence Committee, is now the top Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, and joins me now. Senator, thank you very much for being with us. First of all, your response to Julian Assange and the claims he made about this alleged loss to the CIA.
Well, Mr. Assange is one of my most unfavorite people in the world. I believe he's done great discredit to this nation and committed acts which are quite dastardly. If this is true, this is a major release. It is a substantive release, and it is going to cause problems. We don't know the degree to which it's true yet. His allegation that the CIA was lax and didn't protect this material is, in fact, something we need to look into, and we will take steps to do just that. But, you know, the point I've been trying to make is we have a lot of contractors working in these agencies, and beginning with Snowden and then going to a contractor at the NSA who walked out with a huge amount of equipment and stored it in his house, all of which was classified, and now this being dumped by a contractor, really should cause us concern and the need to look at what we're doing. I'm one that believes that government employees should be doing this, and not contractors. Contractors are generally much more costly than a government employee, and they certainly don't have the level of loyalty to our government that someone that is sworn in to carry out the law and works for the CIA does.
Senator, I want to drill down on that, but let me just ask you, are you sure that this is not Russia, which has a relationship we know with Wikileaks, certainly during the campaign, and the hacking of the Democrats in the campaign and how it was turned over, all of the information to Wikileaks? Are we sure that the contractor or subcontractor allegation from Wikileaks and from a lot of others is not a subterfuge to protect and perhaps cover up for what could be a foreign adversary?
Well, right now, I only know what's public. I don't know what the CIA response to this is, and we will be finding out what the CIA response is. So this is a hard question for me to answer.
Let's talk about the subcontractors and the contractors. We know that Edward Snowden worked for Booz Allen, that other contractors, there are maybe a dozen. We don't know. It's probably a classified number of contractors who are involved. Why does the CIA and the NSA use contractors to develop these codes and this whole system? Why can't they be employees of the CIA?
Well, that's a good question, and beginning with Leon Panetta, when he was director of the CIA, we began to cut back on contract employees, well, at least 5% a year, and that had continued on, and it's still continuing on. But the fact of the matter is that there are so many that I think this is highly problematic. There are literally thousands, and we have to pay more attention to this, and I think through budgetary means and other means, also discuss this with the new director, which we have not had a chance to do, and see if we can't get a more reasonable policy with respect to contract employees.
Do you think at this stage Congress needs to hold an investigation, hold hearings, open or closed hearings, to look into the whole employment practice of the CIA?
Well, I think we do, candidly. I mean, we've now had 3 major instances, and this latest dump of anywhere between 7,000 and 9,000 files, as I understand it from the press. Some people say, well, maybe it isn't true, and I don't know whether it is or not. But I've also just been reading that the CIA does not well secure this material. Now, that's something definitive that we ought to take a very close look at.
Are you persuaded that the CIA does follow the law and does not use these cyber weapons against people in the U.S.?
I believe that with the proper supervision of government employees, that we can assure that these weapons are properly, that these products are properly used. It's very hard to make that assurance when we don't know exactly what it is that has been released, how much of it. And you know, somebody casually says, well, everything. Well, I don't know what everything is. So we have to be very specific. We have to take a good look. And yes, I do think an investigation is due.
Now, take us behind the scenes, just hypothetically. What kind of investigation? How would the CIA be able to track who was the leaker, how this got out? What would they be doing?
I guess the same way they found Snowden and made the arrests. So, or the gentleman from the NSA that walks out every night with things he shouldn't be taking home. And there are other examples as well. But this now has to be looked into very seriously. 3 big events in a row are 3 too many.
There was a mention of you by Julian Assange today. I wanted to play part of that and get your response, going back to when you were investigating the allegations of torture and came up against the CIA management at the time.
A lot of the operations that the CIA conducts are a bit questionable. For example, that operation conducted against the Senate Intelligence Committee. Now, if the CIA had no capacity of its own, it would have had to ask the National Security Agency to provide it with hackers to help it attack and try and take those CIA documents off Dianne Feinstein and her staff. Now, it wasn't able to, it didn't need to disclose that to the National Security Agency because it had the capacities to do it itself.
A lot of questions raised there, but also the suggestion today that it was the NSA as well as the CIA, that there were other cyber bases, the one in Frankfurt, one at the CIA, one at NDI, or DNI perhaps, that the NSA was involved. It's the whole intelligence community, is it not?
Well, I don't know that it is, and that's the problem with speculation at this point, and I'm not in a position where I can speculate. I have to have the known fact, and I don't. All I know is what's written up in the newspapers, and I really choose not to respond to Mr. Assange. He makes his statements, and so be it, but we have a different responsibility.
Fair enough, and as a member of the Judiciary Committee, I just want to ask you if you have a view now about President Trump's tweet on Saturday morning at 6:35 accusing President Obama of a felony, of ordering wiretaps of him at Trump Tower. I know you've had a chance at least to do the confirmation hearing of Mr. Rosenstein, who is going to be, they've confirmed, the acting, or rather the Deputy Attorney General, and be in charge of the overall investigation. Does this need to be investigated, or is that sort of a red herring? And is it pretty much concluded that the president was not basing that on fact?
At this stage, I would say it is a red herring. There's no evidence presented by the president. And President Obama's people have said very clearly that he would never do this, that he did not do this. And there is no evidence that he did do it. What surprises me is that a sitting president would make this kind of an allegation about his predecessor and not present a single real fact. And that causes great concern, because what the President of the United States says has to have weight. I mean, I see enough disturbing information about what's happening in the world to understand that how important intelligence is and how important a president is. And if this nation has to take some action, we have to believe the president, and it's important. And so to put things out there that are simply unsustainable, unbelievable, or not with any evidence, to me, is a huge mistake.
Senator Dianne Feinstein, as always, thank you so much. I really appreciate your patience with us today.
Thank you.